Hey everyone, how's it going? Aaron Rift here from NoDQ.com. Welcome to the NoDQ panel as we get closer to Christmas time. We are here to discuss the best and worst finishing moves in wrestling history. I am being joined by the panel guests as usual. Good old JM Jeff Meacham, now a three-time wrestling trivia champion. How's it going, Jeff?
It's good to be the king.
It
It's
is good to be the king. Thank you for being on as
and
usual.
good to end the season on a high note, going to Christmas with my title intact.
Yes, you'll be able to. Well, we can thank Santa. Santa did answer your wish.
Santa answered my wish. God bless the jolly fat man. I love that guy. He's my hero.
From one jolly fat man to another.
That's right, baby.
But
we Fat Boys got to stick together.
But thanks to DDP Yoga, you are definitely making some progress here. You're looking in great shape, my friend.
The fact I look better than Santa Claus at Christmas time is always a good thing. So God bless DDP. And we'll talk about Dallas today, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And we're also being joined today by the greatest columnist in the history of the planet, the history of the universe, Mr. Virtue's Rage. How's it going, man?
Hey, it's going. You know, I'm not a trivia guy. Jeff smoked me, right, on the very first episode, which, by the way, still has, the most views and most thumbs up. But, Jeff, you lost a couple times. If you're a three-time champ, that means you lost a couple times, man. So you are human. But
it's true.
Kudos because you won it back.
You know what? I said it when I was getting ready to talk to Santa Claus. I said it's not about winning it; it's about keeping it. And nobody that's beat me has been able to defend. Everybody on the NoDQ challenger list has been the Sasha Banks and NoDQ. They can't defend the title.
Yep. And we're also being joined by our special.
Thank you, buddy.
Yes, we're being joined by our special panel guest today. How's it going, Ryan? How you doing, man?
Good. How about you guys?
We're doing great. We're very excited for today's video. I'm looking forward to it. Last week we got some great feedback about the theme songs. This week we're going to talk about the best and worst finishing moves in wrestling history. So we'll go ahead and start with the best finishers. Now, everyone will have their own opinions. There's really no right or wrong answer. Some people like finishing moves that look realistic. Some people like finishing moves that are iconic. So we're going to have some different viewpoints here, which is good. I like having some different opinions on this. Now, I'm going to go ahead and give my personal favorite, and then I'll ask you guys about that move, and then ask you for your favorite finishing move. My all-time favorite finishing move, if I had to pick one, is the Stone Cold Stunner, because that is the move that I think made more of an impact than any other finishing move in terms of boosting business. Steve Austin could come out there and hit the finisher on somebody, hit the Stone Cold Stunner, and get a huge pop. I mean, I don't think there's ever been a finishing move that has gotten such a big pop as the Stone Cold Stunner. And it became his gimmick. Austin would stun everybody. It was all about who's going to get the stunner next. Every week he would come out there and stun somebody else. He stunned JR. He stunned Jerry Lawler. He stunned Vince McMahon, Sergeant Slaughter, and then all the wrestlers. Pretty much everybody in the company got the stunner from Steve Austin at one point. It was just such an iconic move that, I don't think there's ever been a finishing move like it where you wanted to see somebody get it, and Austin could just come out there. What's his t-shirt? Arrive, raise hell, and leave. He just comes out there, hits the stunner, and everybody's happy. So I got to go with the stunner. Ryan, let's start with you. Your thoughts on the stunner and your all-time favorite finishing move.
I like the stunner. I really started watching in 2005 after after Stone Cold retired. But I went back and watched a lot of the Attitude Era stuff, and the stunner is one of my favorites. But my favorite of all time, the Tombstone.
Undertaker's Tombstone. All right, Virtue, your thoughts.
So the stunner was definitely iconic, and Steve Austin made it that way. No, sorry, not you, Mr. Gilberti Disco Inferno. But the problem with the stunner, to me, that just puts it down a half a peg, is some people didn't take it very well. And I'm going to say also, too, on the Tombstone, a couple times you'd see a lot of error between the head, and I know you have to protect the guy, and the mat. So I like those for what they were, but not my favorites, because to me, my favorite of all time, and it's not the model Rick Martel's Boston Crab, it's Chris Jericho's version called the Lion Tamer, which the Walls of Jericho is more of a Boston Crab, so it's not that. It's the Lion Tamer where he'd have the guy's neck pinned with his knee. I absolutely thought that was great. And I don't know if anyone did it that way before Chris. That is my favorite. And everybody knows I'm a big Jericho mark. Jeff?
Well, it's kind of a variation on the stunner. I'm sure you know what I'm going to say based on the shirt I'm wearing. But I think either Dallas Page or Randy Orton, the cutter out of nowhere. Because literally, either one of those guys can be anywhere in the ring, anywhere on the floor, and if you turn around and you're not expecting it, boom, you're out. That's it. Night-night. And Dallas originated it. He originated the diamond cutter being out of nowhere because originally it was created by Johnny Ace. And I don't want to give Ace too much credit because he's kind of a dickhead, but Ace invented the cutter, and everybody after him has kind of evolved in their own way. Stone Cold
and Jeff. Well, before you continue, you know what made it cool with DDP? You got this. Like, it was a whole routine. Yes. Exactly.
Well, it's funny. I was watching his the DVD that WWE put out. The cutter itself, the diamond cutter, was a great presentation. But him incorporating the people, becoming the original People's Champion by throwing this up in the air and letting people throw it up there with him, made the diamond cutter special. And it's one of those things where Ace started it. Stone Cold had his own. Orton has the RKO. You've got cutters off the top rope. But the best version of the cutter, whatever you want to call the move, by far is the diamond cutter out of nowhere by Diamond Dallas Page. That's my own personal opinion. I enjoy the stunner tremendously because, like Aaron said, it was a move where, much like the theme songs last week, the Stone Cold Stunner defined a generation of wrestling fans. No question about that. The Tombstone, again, the Tombstone stood the test of time. The Tombstone carried him through 23, 24 WrestleManias. Win or lose. That was his move at WrestleMania.
And it influenced the generation. The Young Bucks doing the Indie Taker, they're doing the Tombstone Power Driver. And we've seen a lot of wrestlers, Kenny Omega and Okada, they were, doing the Tombstones in their matches. We've seen a lot of younger wrestlers doing that move.
The problem with the Tombstone is it's become the DDT. And the fact that it's not a finisher anymore.
Right. Well, the DDT is a great one. The DDT.
Well, the thing is, when Jake Roberts hit a DDT, the match was over. That was it. Yeah. And in some places, careers were over. Like Ricky Steamboat almost lost his career because he took a DDT to the floor and split his head wide open.
Right.
And Aaron, I know where you might be going with this. With that whole concept of DDT is not a finisher anymore, you got to throw a super kick in there too.
Oh my God! Seriously. The freaking I love Matt and Nick. Do not get me wrong when I say what I'm about to say. Matt and Nick, please don't hate me. But Matt and Nick in particular, and the wrestling populace en masse has turned the super kick into just a throwaway. Super kick party. Like the whole match is super kicks.
Sweet chin music. Yep, that's when it had its own name.
Well, I personally think Shawn Michaels' super kick without the introduction is better than the introduction super kick, the Sweet Chin Music, because Shawn is like one of the RKO. It hits out of nowhere.
Yeah.
When Shawn hit it on Ric Flair the first two times in that match, it was like, oh my God. And when he hit it during the streak matches, you thought the match was over because he didn't queue up and hit it. It was out of nowhere. It was more impactful.
Yeah.
Virtue mentioned, I forgot what you said for your favorite Virtue.
Well, the Lion Tamer.
The Lion Tamer
version.
I like that so much better than the Walls of Jericho because they made Jericho tone down the wall. Because the Lion Tamer, could see somebody's neck.
Yep.
Yeah. Now,
sorry.
Now, Jeff, I wanted to say a few things. First of all, I wonder how much DDP paid you to say that was the greatest finisher. Just kidding. I agree it's one of the best.
I'm paying him more than he's paying me, brother.
Yeah, I agree it's one of the best ones. And like you said, the diamond cutter symbol, not many people have a symbol to go along with their finisher. So that was pretty much his trademark. He really embraced his finishing move and even had the diamond cutter symbol. And you knew the finisher was coming. So that's a great one. And Randy Orton, pounding on the ground to set up the RKO was great. Jake Roberts in the DDT. I mean, arguably the best finisher of the 80s was the DDT. It definitely made a huge impact on a lot of people. And then we talked about the Tombstone. Kane did it as well. Young Bucks did it. A lot of people did the Tombstone. Sometimes it didn't really look that realistic because the ideas, they're trying to sell like that the Tombstone Piledriver, the guy's being driven onto the ground when he's nowhere near close to the ground. Like Survivor Series 91, Undertaker and Hulk Hogan, you had Ric Flair bring the chair into the ring, and Undertaker was supposed to tombstone Hogan onto the chair, yet Hogan's head comes nowhere near the chair. So that's the one downside to the tombstone as a finishing move, in my opinion. Still,
what's even worse about that is Hogan, in his own non-kayfabe book, said he hit the chair and hurt his neck.
Of course he does. That's Hulk Hogan for you.
Really?
Yeah.
Break.
And the super kick. Super kick, when I think of great finishers, I think of finishers that you remember them in time. You remember them in historic moments. And I think of Shawn Michaels hitting that super kick on Marty Jannetty to turn heel. And Shawn Michaels had so many great moments built around the super kick. Think about when he turned heel on Hulk Hogan with the super kick. Lots of classic moments with Shawn Michaels hitting that super kick. What was that?
Retiring Ric Flair.
Yes, like you said earlier with Ric Flair.
And my goodness, that super kick with the whole "I'm sorry, I love you," it's like, I cry now. It's like, God, that's iconic.
And Shawn even did some interesting things with that move too. Like I remember Survivor Series 2007 with Randy Orton. The stipulation was Shawn Michaels could not use the super kick, and that actually played into the finish of the match. He went to go for the super kick, but he hesitated and then got hit with the RKO. So.
One of the best ones I ever remember watching was, I think it was a Raw in '98. Stone Cold was out through the curtain right on the stage. Michael's foot came right from behind the curtain and kicked Stone Cold right up on the stage in the entrance. Does anybody remember that one?
Yes, before WrestleMania.
That was one of my favorite ones of all time.
The Mania, and Stone Cold was fighting up the ramp with Hunter, and Austin turned, and Michael just popped out of nowhere right in the face. It was beautiful.
Yeah, and with Randy Orton hit a lot of iconic RKOs over the years. I was at WrestleMania 31 when he hit the RKO on Seth Rollins. Great moment there at WrestleMania. The one to Evan Bourne was another classic one, and there's been so many of them. So definitely the RKO has to be up there among the greatest finishers of all time. Strangely enough, I think it kind of sucks for Randy Orton, but the RKO has never won the Finisher of the Year in the NoDQ.com year-end awards, despite it being a really cool move, and he's had so many memorable ones. It's never won the actual award for Finisher of the Year.
Part of that is, and this is just my own, again, this is my opinion, take it for what it's worth, I think that's the NoDQ readers' bias toward the John Cenas, the Randy Ortons, the guys that have been shoved in our throats for the last 10, 15 years. That's why you'll never see a Superman punch or a spear from Roman Reigns win a Finisher of the Year, because we're so sick of seeing it. I know you love Roman Virtue, so I'm not going to pick on him too much.
Well, I'm going to tell you, the spear, I don't want to get off topic, but it's I think it's one of the worst finishing moves in the history, and yes, even Goldberg.
Overused.
In the history of wrestling.
Definitely overused. Maybe not terrible.
Yeah.
Ryan, what do you think of the spear? Do you think it's overused? Do you like it? Which spear do you think is the best one?
Personally, it's one of my favorites, but I can see where you guys are talking about it being overused. I love Edge's spear because Edge is one of my favorites of all time. Goldberg, it's impactful, but I'm not a Goldberg fan. And I've never bought it when someone like Caitlyn used it or any of the females. But when a good person uses a spear, it can really add to a match, I think.
Well, you know what? First of all, I think Jeff is your best friend now, digging on Goldberg. I think the jackhammer, that was really his finishing move. The spear was the setup for the jackhammer. But, Ryan, I agree with you about Edge. I think Edge did it really well. And I think about the iconic moments again. Think about WrestleMania 17, the spear to Jeff Hardy in midair during the TLC match. One of the greatest WrestleMania spots of all time, in my opinion. And then winning Money in the Bank with the spear. Edge had a lot of great moments with the spear. Goldberg, he hit the spear, but he didn't really end matches with the spear. So it wasn't really his finishing move. Jeff?
Is it bad that one of my favorite Edge spears is from One Night Stand 2006, where he speared Beulah in half?
Yes, that was a great one. That was a great one.
It wasn't even the spear; it was her reaction. Because when they showed the slow mo, she gets up and goes, "Oh!" You can see she's like, she knows she's screwed. That's it. Boom, and she's out. She knew she was in trouble. It was amazing.
And Roman's spear, it ends matches, but I don't know. It's been done so many times now. What do you think, Virtue, of Roman Spear?
Roman, yeah, I'm not a fan of the Superman punch or the spear. That's where I think he gets John Cena, hate. Cookie cutter, WWE's forcing it. I would like to see Roman do like a spinning Samoan drop or something. I'm sure he could come up with something so much better. And that's my thought. I do not like the spear.
If Roman were given a variation of the powerbomb on his own, he could run with it.
That too. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, I'm looking at the NoDQ.com year-end awards for the best finishers. The one that has won the most times is Petey Williams' Canadian Destroyer. It won 4 years in a row from 2004 to 2007. Ryan, I want to ask you your thoughts on the Canadian Destroyer. Do you think it's a cool finisher? Do you think it's too over the top? Because I know some people criticize it for not being realistic. What are your thoughts on that move? Do you like it or no?
I like it, but I feel like it's dangerous if someone doesn't take it the right way.
Absolutely. Jeff, what do you think?
Having seen it live at PWG, it's a sight to behold, I'll tell you what. And it's one of those things where, yeah, it's dangerous, and yeah, it can go a lot of wrong ways. But when Petey hits that, and when the guy helps him hit it, because let's be honest, the guy's hitting the move, not Petey. Let's be
yes.
clear. But when it's executed perfectly, it is one of the prettiest things you'll ever see in your life. It is just amazing how a pile driver can be turned into something so completely different from any pile driver you've seen before. And yeah, Aaron, we've all the NoDQ crew back in the 2005 era saw that move live, and seeing it on TNA pay-per-view does not do it justice. It's an amazing finisher. Virtue, what do you think?
It's my number 2, right behind the Lion Tamer. Now, that brings me to a point where, yes, I love that move as long as it's done safely and executed properly. I'm thinking that move, now I'm going to the Styles Clash by AJ. And I know now his forearm or the calf crusher might be his finishers, but what I don't like about the Styles Clash is it takes too long to set up. And the guy has to literally get his arms in position. And yeah, that move can be very dangerous too. So I'm thinking when these moves are dangerous, it makes them cool to watch, but then you're like, oh, don't get hurt, especially if you see a guy not tuck his head like James Ellsworth.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you actually took the words right out of my mouth. I remember that James Ellsworth scenario last year where that almost
saved him, man. Yeah. AJ knew, and he didn't come down quite like he normally did.
Well, that just goes to show, how professional AJ is in terms of being able to protect his opponents in the ring.
Yeah.
Why he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think the submission moves are a bit safer, and sometimes they can be just as impactful as the regular power moves. When I think of the greatest submission holds, I know Virtue, you mentioned Chris Jericho's Lion Tamer, which I think is a great one. Obviously, Ric Flair, the figure 4 is a classic move going back decades. But my all-time favorite is the Kurt Angle ankle lock. That match brought so much drama, or should I say that move brought so much drama to a lot of matches over the years. And then, Angle would do that extra thing to the move to make it even more impactful. I thought that Kurt Angle had some great moments with that ankle lock, like with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 21. And he tapped out so many people with the move. So in terms of a move that had credibility, Angle tapped out pretty much everyone from Hulk Hogan, just about anybody you could think of. Even John Cena tapped out to it at once. Ryan, your thoughts on the ankle lock?
I love the ankle lock. It's one of my favorite finishers, but I think my favorite submission finisher would be the sharpshooter, Bret Hart. It led to WrestleMania 13 against Stone Cold, which is probably one of the best WrestleMania moments of all time.
Yeah, like I said, iconic moments. The sharpshooter with Steve Austin, one of the classic WrestleMania moments in history, no doubt. What about, do you prefer the sharpshooter or the Scorpion Deathlock, though? Because Sting also did
Oh, you better, don't say it. Don't even say it. Go ahead.
I personally prefer the sharpshooter because I've watched more Bret Hart stuff, and I feel the move is really attributed to Bret more than it is Sting.
I agree with that.
And you got to sit down. Sting stood up a lot when he did it, and it just made it look sloppy and loose. That's my opinion.
I agree. And The Rock never really did it that well either. Bret always did it better than anyone else, in my opinion.
Owen did it opposite of Bret. So you really can't say one was better than the other, but I liked them both. But man, I know a lot of people that would like Owens better than Bret. But Owen did it, I think, through the other leg, or it was the opposite side that Bret did his on.
Yeah.
But man, there's my number 3 move of all time, by the way. Good pick.
Well, Jeff, your thoughts on the ankle lock and the sharpshooter?
The ankle lock is one of those things where Ken Shamrock brought it to prominence, but Kurt Angle made it iconic. Kurt Angle with the grapevine in the leg and just the complete ruthless tendencies to break. I'll break your ankle, whatever. I remember when he started using it because he lost the title to The Rock, and then he got Scotty 2 Hotty in the ankle lock and broke Scotty's ankle, and it was like, whoa, Kurt Angle just went nuts there. That was intense, and it started Kurt Angle's ascent toward that iconic status that he now has. As far as the sharpshooter scorpion deathlock, the opinion on the move can be defined. It can be described with 2 different scenarios. Bret's most iconic sharpshooter was making Steve Austin pass out. Iconic WrestleMania great moment. Sting's most iconic Scorpion Deathlock was against Hogan at Starrcade. One of the defining moments of the beginning of the end of WCW.
There you go. You said it best.
And I
Jeff.
wasn't a big fan of the ankle lock, by the way. Just so you know.
Really?
Other than the intensity that Shamrock and Angle gave on their faces to sell the move, like we're going to snap your ankle. That was the coolest part about it. But the whole twisting someone's ankle,
Well,
nobody had a worse ankle lock than Michael Cole.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of, man.
Yeah. The ankle lock's been around for years because remember, the Funks used to do the step over toe, which is basically an ankle lock when you're standing up and the guy's not. So it's been around for years, but it took the intensity of Ken Shamrock, the intensity of Kurt Angle to make it a worthwhile, watchable finisher.
Right. Now, next up, I wanted to talk about the frog splash, which a lot of guys did as a finishing move. So let's compare them because there's different versions. There's Eddie Guerrero's frog splash, and then there's Superfly splash, and then there's Rob Van Dam's 5-star frog splash. Which is the best one? A lot of people debate it, just like the spear. There's lots of different versions. Which is the best one? Ryan, your favorite?
Eddie Guerrero.
Eddie Guerrero, all right.
I feel like when you think frog splash, you really think Eddie Guerrero a little bit more than Rob Van Dam.
Interesting. I think Jeff will disagree with you on that one. Jeff, what do you think?
Yeah, it's funny you say that, and yes, I'm going to say Rob because it's Rob, and but not only just because it's Rob, because Rob has told me himself, he's told us many times in interviews, Aaron, Rob always hit the frog splash and sold it so well because he wanted you to think he was willing to kill himself in order to get the guy to be defeated, and that's what made Rob stop, because Rob would bounce 3 feet off the guy, writhe in pain. Oh wait, shit! I got to cover the guy. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, I got to win the match. So I mean, it even happened at the Raw anniversary. He talked about this on Talk Wrestling. He hit it on Santino at the Raw anniversary. Oh wait a minute! I gotta pin the guy. I totally forgot. It's not running. It's an actual match. So it's one of those things where he sold it so well that it worked. However, Eddie Guerrero's frog splash had more iconic moments, especially beating Brock Lesnar at No Way Out. That was one of those things where every bad, rotten thing that had happened to him in the previous years of his life and his career was washed away.
Absolutely.
Because he beat the unbeatable, he defeated the undefeatable, and he won the championship in front of a packed house of his people. It was amazing.
Yeah, Eddie definitely had a great frog splash. Go ahead,
I'm going to say Jimmy Snuka off the cage in Madison Square Garden. I know that wasn't a frog splash.
There's no more iconic splash than Jimmy Snuka off the cage of Morocco.
Who did he do that to?
Don Morocco.
Yeah, Morocco.
Although he did go for one on Backlund and miss. That was even crazier the year before when Jimmy was still a heel.
Yeah.
So.
But the thing I
don't think there's anything more intimidating than laying down on the mat and probably for the guys that looking up at Kevin Owens coming down at you with the frog splash.
Yeah, Kevin
Owens. I'm not saying it's great, but just look at Kevin Owens doing it. Oh my God.
Well, what about Rikishi doing it to Val Venus?
I will never like Kevin as a person, but he the way he gets some serious air on that frog splash. You're on the mat, you gotta be wetting your pants going, this is gonna hurt. I don't care if he pulls it, it's gonna hurt a lot.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, and like I said,
it's funny you mentioned the figure 4 leg lock because you mentioned Ric Flair going back decades. I'm gonna go. I go old school. The figure 4 wouldn't have been given to Ric Flair if somebody like Buddy Rogers hadn't perfected it in the 60s and the late part of the 50s. Some of these moves have stood the test of time. The figure 4 leg lock. Steve Austin took a finishing move from the greatest NWA champion of all time at the time, Lou Thesz, and made it a signature move, and he added right hands to it. But originally that was a finishing move for Lou Thesz. Some of these moves, you go back and you go, okay, wow, it worked back then and it works now.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I was talking about that frog splash, and I remember Rikishi doing the splash to Val Venus. That was another big spot they did years ago. That would be pretty scary.
Cage. Off the cage.
Yeah, off a cage. But yeah, Jeff, I think I would go with Rob Van Dam just because I like the fact that he got the height with it, and also he would turn himself in midair if need be to hit the move, which is really cool, you know. But
or he'd come down on the person with chairs over top of him.
Or the belt, yeah.
Yeah.
Just remember, when it comes to the frog splash, nobody gets as high as Rob Van Dam.
Exactly. But, you know, Eddie Guerrero had a great one, too, and Superfly Splash, of course, was very iconic. Let's talk about a couple other of these best finishers, and then we'll get to some of the worst ones. We haven't touched on any worst ones yet. Some of the more recent ones, Evan Bourne's Airborne is a popular one, John Morrison's Starship Pain, CM Punk's Go to Sleep, and the Curb Stomp, Seth Rollins' Curb Stomp, which I'm sad they got rid of it. I really liked that move, but I guess WWE feels it's something kids might try to recreate and it's too dangerous looking. Ryan, what are your thoughts on those finishers, your favorite of those I just mentioned?
Starship Pain. I actually saw John Morrison versus Sami Callihan a couple of years ago for a local indie here, and there's nothing like seeing that move live. The Airborne or Shooting Star Press, the one memory I'll always have of that is Brock Lesnar screwing it up at WrestleMania 19. And then the Curb Stomp, I like it a lot more than Seth Rollins' current finisher, but I don't think it fits Rollins as a character.
Interesting. That's an interesting point. Virtue, what do you think of those finishers?
I'm not really fans of any of them, but the Go to Sleep had its moment, and CM Punk had its moment. So obviously, but I don't know. Like Evan Bourne, I've seen so many people do the Shooting Star Press, so it's hard to say Evan Bourne's is the best because he was the most mainstream. Didn't Billy Kidman do it?
Yes, a lot of wrestlers did.
I like Billy Kidman's a 7-year itch. Like, so there you go. That out of all of that, that's my favorite Kidman's version.
Jeff, your
thoughts?
Matt
Cross, M-Dog Matt Cross, Son of Havoc is a pretty good one too.
He had a good one too. Yeah, we saw live at XPW, I believe.
But yeah, that's it for those moves.
Aaron, you didn't mention Punk's old finishing move because he never used WWE, but the Pepsi Plunge was a sight to behold too.
Yeah.
It was for those of you who don't know, it was a pedigree off the top rope, which is like, what? You did what off the top? Yeah, it was amazing. And Triple H, first of all, it's his move, so he's like, well, no. Second of all, it's off the top rope, so it's dangerous, so he's like, no. But yeah, the Go to Sleep, I liked it. I liked the fact that they tried to give it back to Tommy when he was in NXT, and it didn't work because they were chanting Punk at him. Like, oops, that didn't work. The Shooting Star Press is pretty in theory, but like we said with Brock Lesnar, if it's executed wrong, damage control.
Right.
What did you say, Aaron?
John Morrison.
Yeah, John Morrison.
Starship Pain with a ladder onto the entire Money in the Bank contingent at WrestleMania 24. That's all I got to say about that. That was nuts.
Now, what about tag teams? Best tag team finisher? I would argue the 3D, the Deadly Death Drop, but I'm sure there's other ones. You know, I like the Hart Foundation's finisher. Hart Foundation had a great finisher. Wait a minute. Bret Hart right here. Bret Hart, the Hart Foundation's finisher. Virtue?
The best tag team finisher I can ever remember, especially when a jobber could just get obliterated and fall on his shoulders. The Doomsday Device. We didn't mention Legion of Doom last time on the theme song, so we're going to do it right now. Doomsday Device, Legion of Doom.
There you go. Jeff?
Yeah, the Road Warriors gave J.J. Dillon a perpetual hump in his shoulder with the Doomsday Device in the middle of a War Games match. So there you go. The Doomsday Device was an amazing tag finisher. The Dudley's finisher. We talk about defining generation all the time on the last two panels, this panel and last panel. The Dudley Death Drop defined ECW tag team wrestling and the Attitude tag team wrestling in the WWF as well. The Heart Attack is one of those things where when I think of SummerSlam in the early years, I think of the Heart Attack defeating Demolition in the 2 out of 3 falls match, which you've said is one of your favorite matches of all time, Aaron. It was an amazing match, an amazing finish. The Heart Attack really made that match what it was. But yeah, the Road Warriors and the way that they could do that to just about anybody was certainly memorable for sure.
Absolutely.
Ryan?
Yeah, Ryan, any favorite tag finishers?
My favorite tag finisher that I've seen live is the Indie Taker from the Young Bucks.
Wait. Well, here we go. Young Bucks right here. Can you guys see him? Wait, there we go.
Move it there. This way. There you go. There you go. You're good. Yep. What are those?
Those are the micro brawlers from Pro Wrestling Crate.
Aaron, before you go to the bad finisher, I got to throw this one out there as the best kayfabe finisher that just is the most devastating. And it's the guy that does it. And I'm going to put him over. Brock Lesnar F5.
There you
Because
go.
they book it that way. And to be honest with you, that's something maybe Roman's missing.
Well,
a great, solid, monstrous finish like that, because that's what has really made Brock Lesnar.
Well, yeah.
The German suplexes in the F5.
Yeah, well, in 2002, it did win for the finisher of the year in 2002.
Brock Lesnar took out The Rock with the F5.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar, obliterated John Cena in front of me, Aaron, and 16,000 other people at Staples Center with the F5 and the German suplex. The F5 ended the streak.
Yeah.
That's iconic.
Yep.
Absolutely.
The F5 ended the streak. So.
Enough said. Yeah, definitely F5 has to be up there among the great finishers. You could argue the pedigree. I mean, I think the pedigree was more booked to be a dominant finisher than actually being a great finisher, in my opinion. Triple H puts away a lot of people with it, but I don't know if it's my favorite move or.
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is, Jean-Paul Levesque used the pedigree in WCW, and nobody gave a crap.
Yeah.
So, it's not about the move, it's about the presentation.
Yeah. And now let's move on to the worst finishers. So I'll get your guys' opinion on the absolute worst one. I'm going to go with Mr. Sacco. As much as I like Mr. Sacco, I think the idea of shoving a sock down somebody's throat is just absolutely ridiculous. But I'll say Santino Marella's Cobra Strike is even worse. I mean, that Santino's got to be the worst one in my opinion. Ryan, what is your worst finisher in your opinion?
The Worm.
The Worm. Fun to watch, but as a finisher, did it actually beat anybody?
Yep.
It did?
2 times. Yep.
Oh, man. I feel bad for anybody that actually lost to that. And, we could add the People's Elbow on the list. Some people, it's a fun move to watch, but when it actually beat people, I think some people got rubbed the wrong way with that finisher.
Elbow is an elbow drop with a leg twitch. That's all it is. That's all it is.
And it actually did beat people, which is disturbing.
It beat Hogan at WrestleMania.
Was it the People's Elbow or the Rock Bottom?
He hit 3 rock bottoms and a People's Elbow, and he pinned Hogan with it.
Oh, there you go. Virtue.
I'm going to piggyback off of your Sacco and the Cobra Strike, the Umaga Samoan Spike. I mean, that to me, come on. I mean, yeah, okay, whatever. You're jamming your thumb into the throat, but maybe it wasn't delivered the right way. I thought it was horrible.
I think Mr. Sacco without the sock, the mandible claw,
that was good
in theory, because you get the guy's nerves deadened and you knock him out. That's one thing.
Well, and then they would spit up like their spit and foam too. The guys that he would put it on. Yeah,
they were so incapacitated. That was awesome. But when they added the sock to it, it was like, wow, Foley's declining. Honestly, the worst finisher ever, in my opinion, there's 2. The People's Elbow I talked about earlier, it's a freaking elbow drop with a leg twitch involved in there. Hogan, the leg drop.
There you go, Jeff.
Awesome.
Bam. I'm throwing my card away.
I am a card-carrying, red and yellow flag-wearing, brother guy. I'm a Hulkamaniac, but my goodness, is that finisher just god-awful.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing about a lot of those older finishers. They were very basic. You had Roddy Piper doing the sleeper hold, which some could argue that was a bad finisher. The leg drop, very basic. The Ultimate Warrior with the splash, that was his finisher. Literally just a splash.
The Warrior, I very rarely give the Ultimate Warrior credit. Lord knows I shouldn't. But the fact of the matter is, Warrior would press the guy over his head as high as he could, slam him down with all his might behind him, and then splash him. That was the combination. That was the key.
Not really slam him, he just dropped him.
Well, he just go like, wow, drop him down. He let him fall. But the Warrior, the Warrior was getting guys, pretty big. Not Andre the Giant, obviously, because that would never happen. But guys that he shouldn't. I mean, he got Hogan up there that high, and he slammed Hogan down. So And the
Well,
fact
I'll
that
tell you what, I prefer his shoulder tackles more than John Cena's.
yes. Oh my God, I don't like the Warrior at all. But my goodness, the Cena version of the Warrior tackles is like, yeah.
And with that said, I'm going to go ahead and say his attitude adjustment, F you. To me, the Death Valley Driver used to be such a great move, and then Cena started doing it, and maybe because it was overplayed, I don't like the way his looked. Because it's like when he did it and the guy slammed, Cena bounced. It would just always look weird to me.
And people kick out of it constantly.
We mentioned the Warrior shoulder tackle. We forgot best finishers. We forgot Randy Savage.
Flying elbow?
Flying elbow drop. When people do the elbow drop all the time, I was talking about Shawn Michaels did it all the time. Randy Savage would get on the very tippy top of that turnbuckle, stand straight up, arms up, pointing to the sky, and drop an elbow like I've never seen anybody else do before or since.
Yep, it was art, man.
And it's one of those things where we didn't really appreciate it in his prime because he was in the Hogan and Warrior era, and he happened to be the antagonist to both those guys, so it wasn't really appreciated. But you look at I'm telling you, the network is a beautiful thing. Go back and watch his stuff. Go into a Randy Savage watching mode. His stuff is brilliant, just brilliant.
Absolutely. Would you say the same for the Great Khali's chop?
I'd say the Great Khali's chop is. I will retract my statement. That's the worst finisher ever.
Okay, there you go. What about the vice grip?
Now, an overrated finisher? Now, not the ones that were from a 30-foot ladder down onto tables. Those were legit. But the Swanton Bomb? You're hitting them with the back of your shoulders barely as you scoot over the other side of them. I just never really enjoyed that move unless it was an insane one. Am I wrong for thinking that?
The problem is Jeff Hardy took the Senton Bomb and would twist in a way where he would just barely get over, so it looked like he was going to kill himself in the process, and then boom, he hit the guy at the right moment. The Swanton was not about delivery, it was about execution more than anything else. So I like the Swanton personally. I'm not a big Jeff Hardy fan, but I like a Swanton Bomb. But yes, the Aaron, you mentioned the vice grip. The vice grip from Great Khali, in theory and actually in execution sometimes, was actually because it's a big, strong man squeezing your head. It's not the most pretty thing, but it's very rudimentary. It's very like, okay, this is gonna kill somebody. This guy's squishing this guy's skull in. That's different. The Great Khali chop is a lazy, overused, overhyped, big giant man chopping you down with one hand. It's stupid. It's ludicrous. It does not belong anywhere near wrestling, let alone sports. Period.
Well, there you go. Our own Jeff Meacham, ladies and gentlemen.
Jeff has spoken.
Jeff?
I got a double feature for you. Kona Crush, the Kona Crunch, or whatever that was, the Cranium Crunch, and then the Heart Punch later on. That's old school, but those were boring.
I think the Heart Punch worked for Stan Stasiak for the 9 days he was WWF champion, but in 1994 with Crush, not so much.
What about the Playmaker from MVP? I thought that one always looked awkward.
It looked like it hurt the person doing it more than it hurt the person getting the move.
Absolutely, I agree on that.
It's like when the move has to be set up in a way you look like a complete awkward doofus hitting the move. It doesn't, like the Playmaker, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Much like the Styles Clash. Styles Clash, AJ's like, okay, gotta get this leg, okay, I'm ready. Here we go.
It's funny. We have to talk about bad ones, and we keep remembering good ones we forgot. Rude Awakening was a good one.
Yep. Yes. The Rude Awakening is a neck breaker. It's not the most flashy move.
Oh, but Rick Rude's version with the twist of the hips. Yeah.
Swivel the hips and knock the guy down. It was like, that was devastating.
I like
and
the
I'm going to
perfect
throw
flex.
Perfect. Yes, Aaron. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sometimes simple is better, though.
It is. And, it's you mentioned, I had one, I just lost it anyway. Yeah, I mean, the perfect flex, what I was saying, it's literally a fisherman suplex. People have done it before, people have done it since. But now it's called the Henning Plex. So.
Yeah, but the way Mr. Perfect did it, I thought looked really good.
Yep.
Yes.
Honestly, we mentioned sharpshooter iconic moments. One of the most iconic sharpshooter moments was when Brett turned Perfect over into the sharpshooter from the figure four leg lock position. That was like, wow. He did that out of nowhere. So it was really cool.
That might be one of the most iconic SummerSlam moments, in my opinion.
Yes.
Well, it's funny. That whole SummerSlam was full of good and bad iconic moments, unfortunately. So, and that was my first SummerSlam. But it's one of those things where there are ways that a move can be good or bad, and that it's all about execution and delivery. I mean, like the playmaker, it's set up hokey and it looks awkward to do, but when he hit it, it's like, damn, that looked like it hurt.
Yeah, so. Exactly. Now, there's two more finishers I want to discuss, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this up. A lot of wrestlers have done these finishers, the Powerbomb and the Choke Slam. So, Ryan, I'll ask you, your favorite Powerbomb and your favorite Choke Slam?
I like the Last Ride.
Last Ride?
Definitely the Last Ride, because Taker had the height and he got him up more than a lot of other power bombs. I also like the Batista bomb, because when I started watching, Batista was really coming into his own. Choke Slam. I gotta go with Kane there. He's made it work for 20 years, and he's really, if you say Choke Slam, he's one of the first people I think of.
All right, Jeff?
Powerbomb.
Just say it, Mike Awesome.
Mike, you know what? Underrated. I think the Awesome Bomb is one of those things where if you're an ECW fan, you know the Awesome Bomb, but when you see it, it's like, jeez. I mean, powerbombing guys into the third row, that's some crazy stuff. But my favorite powerbomb is probably, like Ryan said, the Last Ride. But honorable mention to Sid Vicious. He made the powerbomb his own, no question about that. Choke Slam. I gotta give the Choke Slam finisher and the Knockout Punch finisher nod to the Big Show.
There you go. Give Big Show some love. Virtue?
I got Big Show some love once.
Right? Mike Awesome to me. I liked Sid's powerbomb when Shawn Michaels wasn't purposely botching it. I don't know if they had heat there or not, but Mike Awesome and for the powerbomb. Choke Slam. Gosh, this is hard. I'm gonna say Kane. I'll agree with you, Kane. I liked Kane.
All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and say Big Show for the Choke Slam. I agree with Jeff. Big Show doing the that.
We'll need a tiebreak in the comments, people.
Yeah,
that's right.
Kane or Big Show.
Yeah, and I mean Big Show Choke Slam Undertaker through the ring, so that's pretty impactful. As far as Powerbomb goes,
both companies. So
yeah, he beat a lot of people with the Choke Slam in WCW and WWE. He won a lot of big matches. He won the WWE title with a Choke Slam. So the Choke Slam definitely did a lot of damage to people. And as far as the Powerbomb goes, I'm torn between the Last Ride, as you guys mentioned, and I also like Kevin Owens' pop-up Powerbomb. I think that's a great variation of the Powerbomb to change things up.
I think the pop-up Powerbomb is underrated because a lot of people don't like Kevin Owens. So people are
like
not, you. They think of the Jack. I think of the Sid Vicious. They think of the Last Ride. Kevin Owens getting the Powerbomb on anybody with the pop-up is actually pretty impressive.
Absolutely.
Jeff, did Vader? I know Vader did his Vader bomb. Did he ever do power bombs too? God, I want to think he did.
Well, yeah, okay. Vader, as a matter of fact, Vader and Sid were at one time a team called the Masters of the Powerbomb when they were against Sting and Davey Boy. Vader would do a Powerbomb, and then he would either hit the Vader bomb off the second rope, or if he was being real froggy, he'd move off the top rope.
I like Vader's too. I forgot about his because when he got slammed the guy down, he'd have like that side momentum just to make it look like he really threw that guy down.
Vader's one of those guys where you look back in the course of history, looking back now in 2017, and he is way, way underrated and undervalued. He was the monster heel before the term monster heel was a cool thing to say. I firmly believe that.
And WWE's run really didn't do him any favors.
That's the thing. People of our generation, virtually you, me, and Aaron, remember Big Band in WCW, but the guys that started watching when the NWO formed in '96, so they remember, squeaky clean, babyface Vader. It's like, no, he's a monster, he's a killer.
Yeah.
Also, worst finisher, one of the worst finishers, Andre the Giant suplex from the mid '80s.
Onto Hulk Hogan when he won the title.
But he did it to it. It wasn't even a suplex. It was like kind of a. Go away.
We should talk about suplexes before we wrap this up. I got Taz here, the Tazplex, and Brock Lesnar.
Tazplex and the Taz Mission, both great finishers. Brock Lesnar driven suplexes, great. Perfect Plex. We mentioned the Perfect Plex earlier.
I know it wasn't his finisher, but the Bulldog did a heck of a vertical suplex. That might have been the best.
So
yeah.
Not a finisher, but Benoit and Dynamite Kid snap suplexes.
And Kurt Angle's suplexes.
Kurt Angle suplexes, Eddie Guerrero's Three Amigos. The suplex is not one of those things. It's almost never going to be a finisher anymore, but it is a pretty move to see.
Absolutely. All right, so
it's a good setup move.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so on that note, we'll go ahead and wrap up this video. I would like to thank Ryan for being our special guest today. Any plugs you have? Anything you would like to promote?
NoDQ.com.
Thank you. Much apprecited. Jeff, you have anything you would like to promote?
I would love to plug the fact that I am once again the Wrestling Trivia Champion. We're on our winter hiatus. We will be back. Aaron mentioned it at the end of the episode. What do you guys want to see on Wrestling Trivia Challenge Season 3? Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at _Jeff Meacham. Let me know on Twitter and Instagram what you want to see in Wrestling Trivia Challenge. And sometime this month, Talk Wrestling will be back to end the year.
All right. Virch?
Follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue and go to the NoDQ YouTube page because I'm having Virtue's Rage videos up there now. And I know we had one little, King gimmick that not many people liked, but go watch me on video now.
Yeah, go watch him.
Folks, ProWrestlingTees.com. The shirt right now on the show of this panel, you can buy that shirt at ProWrestlingTees.com. You can buy a Virtue's Rage shirt. You can buy a No DQ and a V shirt, old school from Aaron Rift. You can buy a Talk Wrestling shirt. You can buy
NoDQ Panel.
You can buy NoDQ Panel. Exactly. Buy the panel shirt. Support this very show you're watching right now.
Absolutely. 100%. Go over to ProWrestlingTees.com. You can use the code SAVE5 to get 5% off, by the way. Head over there and take advantage of that. And on that note, we'll go ahead and wrap this thing up. Thank you guys. Thank all of you for watching, and thank you to the panel for being on today. And on that note, we will see you all next time.